Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Saturday. Happy Saturday. A little bit drizzly. Not quite so much sunshine, but never mind. It's all good. Excellent reason to be indoors doing a bit of quilting or patchwork. Right, okay. So, I cheated the other day. Well, I didn't cheat. I got carried away, which I suppose amounts to cheating, didn't I? Because I went and did 4 of them as my centerpieces. So I sort of carried on a storm. And I think my suggestion to everybody was that actually pick your favourite one and repeat it so that you get a 4 in the centre, or the corners or something, which would look quite nice. Repeated blocks, yeah. Which is a traditional thing. You get one block and you just repeat, and it makes its own design throughout a whole quilt. Or if you do the same thing, but you know, depending on where you put your colours, it changes the whole look of everything. So you could have like a waterfall colour come right the way through. You could just have the same block repeated all the time, or you could have maybe the same block done in 2 different colourways and repeated and moved around. Do you know, it's endless. It really is endless. So any of those blocks will do that. But I sort of got carried away with the one that I quite liked, that I'd sat and made up and thought, ooh, that's a bit different. And I was in bunting mode, wasn't I? And it reminded me of bunting because of all the little do row there, see? So yeah, I had a bunting moment. Anyway, right, so yesterday went out visiting, seen Wendy at a distance. Thank you, hello Wendy, Jolly and Isabel, fabulous. What else did we do? Went down into town quickly to the post office, and yeah, it's all moving around a little bit more, isn't it? There's distinctly people though down in Cornwall who are local and who are not local, and I will say that. And you can tell because the locals are all going, hello over there, how are you? And those that aren't local are just walking straight past us and next to us. Not good. Not overly impressed, I have to say. But never mind. That's life, isn't it? We can only do what we can do. So I think we should all still carry on behaving ourselves, basically. But there we are. Right, so what else did I then came back and I got a bit carried away. And I've done the last 2 blocks for this for the 5 patch Witter quilt. Right, I'm only going to show you one today though, but the other one is over here, ready for tomorrow. Because yeah, then I've got 16 blocks and I've got enough to make my quilt top up. I'm quite excited about that, and I was getting a little bit, oh, I can do that. So if I show you this one today, I can cheat and put mine together if I get time today, or at least start to put it together. I quite like that idea. So we've got now, do you know what, you've been doing this for a little while with me now, so I'm going to make you do things a little bit different and a little bit not more tricky, but you have to think about it, okay? But it works out quicker in the long run. Now, most of you probably know this already anyway. So what we're going to do, we've got lots of blocks in today's one. Can you see lots of little squares and things going on? And there's your pattern with your instructions that probably looks a little bit, oh my God, what's I doing here? All right. So what we're going to do basically is we're going to make that strip and the bottom strip as one thing. Okay. So you're going to cut enough fabric to do 2. So that becomes, they're 2.5 inches wide when you're cutting. But you're going to have enough for 2, so you're going to make it 5 inches. So you're going to cut 2.5 by 5 inches in that order, 5 of them. All right, so then you join them all together, give it a nice press, and then chop it down the middle, and you've got two strips already done. Hey presto, how good's that? Nicely easy. You can do the same for these. So 5 inches by 2.5 for those 3. Join them together, press it, chop it in half, and that's your 2 side pieces done. Really nice and quick. Now, these ones in the middle are little inch squares. Now that's going to make you think a little bit. So what we're going to do, same thing again. I did work out the sizes just now. What are they? 3 inches by 9. So, because you want 1.5 and 1.5 over here, don't you? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you want 6 of them at, tell me, 1.5 by 3. That's the one. And then you join them, press them, chop it down the middle, and you've got those 2 sections done. Then you do the same for the next one in, and then that just gives you these 2 little ones to do each side. Okay, so when you're looking at this particular pattern there, all right, I've written the wrong size on there. I'll change that in a minute for you. Don't quite know where I was getting that from, but there we are. There's lots of arrows with dotteds, all right, so that's trying to indicate that that's a section there, that's a section there, there's a section there, and then it comes here, here, across. It's a quick way of doing it. If you don't want to do it that way, if you're doing it by hand, you're going to cut all of those individually, same as I would, no problem whatsoever. But if you're doing it by machine, because the stitch will be quite nicely tight, you can do a line, chop it all up and put it back together, and it will hold together well enough. If you're doing it by hand, it's a little bit dodgy, all right? So if you're doing it by hand, sorry, over individual, lots of little tiddly squares, all right? So that's today's. It's very exciting because I've only got one more. I'm going to change that size in a minute before I put it up on the Witter group for you, all right? That pattern will go up. I actually quite like that one a lot, and I just made that one up again as normal. If it belongs to anybody else, I apologise. I just sat and drew it, so I don't know. Right, so okay, what's going on? I've put up behind me a quilt. What did I call that? I think I called that daisy wheel, because it's a little bit-ish daisy, isn't it? It was sort of, at the time, using all the scraps that I had of any sort of fabric. So there's all sorts of Adas, and there's velvets in there, and there's mostly hand-dyed fabrics, basically, is what I'm getting at. Okay, in the centre is a piece of Bargello. Now, some of you know, some of you don't know, I teach that an awful lot. I love Bargello, and I love running it as a class, I really do. It's got so much potential out there and doing. There's a lot of other people do it as well, obviously, but I do particularly love it, and I teach it loads, like it lots. So that's just a little piece in the centre, and I did that as reverse applique in the centre. Okay, so the yellow that you see around the checkerboard in the centre was laid over the top of the Bargello, and it was machined, and then I cut away the yellow from the centre so that you could see what was underneath. Nice, quick, easy way of getting things exactly where you want them without too much hassle. All right, all the rest are appliqued onto the black. Yeah, so all those funny shapes, all those curves, all those nasty tricky bits have all been needle turned, because I do needle turn applique as well. As I say, when I have the time, I prefer hand stitching. I just rarely get the time these days, and in order to keep myself producing and ahead of all of you lot, I have to do an awful lot of stuff by machine, which is fine, I don't mind, but by hand is my thing. So that's all needle turned, all of those pieces onto the black, and some of them were fraying like hell because there's satins and Adas and, as I say, velvets. There's all sorts of things in there. It's whatever I had to hand in my creative scrap box, because I do like textile art stuff as well, and I like to sit and play and do and mix things up a bit. Normally smaller little pictures and whatever else, and I'll teach that as well, all sorts of weirdness. So that was me doing, like, well, what have I got? It's a bit of a colour wheel. It's not purposely a colour wheel, but it might be a colour wheel ish, and it starts on the outside and it goes round and round and round and round and round, basically. And it was the nearest colours I had to what I wanted at the time, so I'm not going to claim it's exact, but it was a bit of fun. The background, black, that's got daisies all over it that have been quilted, hand quilted daisies in a white thread. You might probably can't see it from that distance, but there we are. And then the border, I think some people call it piano keys. I think it's a bit bigger than piano keys. It's sort of all my scraps, whatever I had left over, all joined together into lengths. And then I've actually appliqued that on top of the black so that it fitted. Yeah, so that's applique turned on under all the way around. There's even a little bits of the Bargello within that outside border. But a lot of them are hand dyed fabrics that either I've hand dyed or friends have hand dyed. Yeah, because I do dyeing classes as well, and I don't mean dyeing ducks. I meant hand dyeing dyes, as in lovely colour. Love it, love it, love it. See, I do all these things. Oh, I have such fun. I do enjoy myself. So there we are. So I just thought you might like to see that, because it was over the other side of the room and I found it this morning, and I thought, oh, I've not shown you that one. So I thought I'd hang that up behind me. I had to clean it. The black had cat hair all over it. At least I assume it was cat hair. So I had to get my tape and I patted it all over and taken that all off to make him look pretty. So it was probably a good job done. Yeah, probably needed doing. So there we are. You may have seen that. If that quilt's looking familiar to you, that's because it will have gone round. It was part of a display that went round with Grosvenor shows around the country. They had, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 of my quilts, big quilts. And they all went off on tour all around the country a couple of years ago. So you may well have seen it in the past and think, oh, it looks familiar, isn't it? So yes, it probably is familiar. And yes, it's me. I don't think a lot of people realised when they were looking at my stuff as it went around that actually who I was. It's me. And maybe how prolific I am and how different. Yeah, things vary with me, don't they? I will go from your nice, happily traditional right the way through to your weird and wonderful. Eclectic, is that the word? Probably. I don't know. Diverse? I don't know. Weird? Yeah. I like weird. That would do. There we are. So, there we go. There's a little bit of more colour in your life for the day. And happiness, I hope. Tom's in his bucket. He's decided. I told you the other day. He's in the bucket that I put my podium on that I'm talking to you in. And so when he got himself all settled, he settled himself on top of this lot, which is all the patterns and the photos and things of all the Witter quilts. And so I had to take them out because I didn't really want him damaging them. So I put a little cat bed in the bucket for him. And he's fast asleep in his bucket over there. He's very happy. Although he is also on guard for this other naughty little cat that keeps coming in. And I don't know whose he is. I haven't found out yet. I think I'm going to have to go knock on doors again, like I did with Tom, and see can I identify whose cat this is, because I don't want them thinking I'm nicking or anything, because I'm not. They just gravitate. I am the original mad cat lady, possibly. I don't know. I don't purposely collect cats. They arrive. We got 3 indoors as well. They just arrived. There was nothing to do with me. I'd never had cats before, so now I have lots of cats all around. Tom, as I say, visited daily. 3 indoors, and now we got a little black and white one keeps coming in. Cheeky little one, and Tom's not overly happy about this, but he don't fight him or anything, so well, I don't know. It's all very strange, isn't it? Pussycats everywhere. Right, so sun's trying to come out. I like this idea. And I'm going to start laying these out and see what do they look like. And if I get a chance, I might even start putting my quilt top together. It's very exciting. That will be Witter Quilt number 4. That's massive. So what did we do? We did 27, 37, 43 blocks in total. And we really actually probably averaged one every 2 days, 40. So that's it's sort of 80 days around the world in 80 days, except we've all been sat indoors for 80 days. Is that right? Is that possible? My gosh, that seems an awful long time. That's really scary, isn't it? Never mind. So long as we're all here and we're all healthy and we're all well, and that will do. And I do hope we all are out there. Okay, so friends, Romans, countrymen, go say hello. Yeah. Bit of exercise, that might be good. I did running up and down town yesterday, as I say. That was quite good. Tidying, I've given that up. Okay, right, so there we are. It's good, isn't it? It's Saturday, and I know that we can now see each other a little bit closer. So I hope you all have some happy visitations and lots of nattering, and be lovely. See ya.